Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. I'm here with a sheet of Artist Loft paper. It's cellulose paper from Michaels and my Marie's Masters palette. And I thought I might come and do a fun watercolor today. And I absolutely never dip into my white, but I thought we could do some fun painting today, and I'm going to mix a couple of colors here before we get started. I am going to get plenty of white here into my tray, and I'm going to mix some nice light colors, and I'm also going to do some reds. So I'm just going to come in here with some water, get it nice and activated, and get plenty out here into my mixing well. And so white normally will kind of tone down a color. It will make it a little bit milky or chalky looking. And I think I kind of want to explore that a little bit today. So I'm going to start off with that, and I'm going to add just a little bit of this purple red into it, just to slightly tint it. So it's going to be very close to white still, but it will be like a very pastel white. I'm going to add just a little bit more of that purple. And so we'll have that mix here. And then I'm going to rinse my brush and come in and mix one more color. And that's going to be alizarin crimson. And I'm going to get a good amount here in my mixing well. I can always add more, but I'm going to start with a decent amount. And I'm going to add a little bit of sap green to it to turn it into a little bit more of a muted red. So I've got my red here started. I'm going to come in here and dip into a little bit of green, and it's going to darken that up a bit. I'm going to add just a little bit more so we get almost like a wine or burgundy color. And I'm just adding a little at a time until I get the dark color that I want. And then I'm going to start painting. I'm just going to go slow and kind of just really explore some different brush marks and shapes, and we'll probably do maybe some doodling afterward. But I just want to play with my small brush and make kind of a slow painting and just play with some different shapes here and just see what happens. And it's a great way to practice with your brush strokes and also the brightness or darkness of your colors, and just kind of see what comes up. I'm going to dip into some water and make a nice little shape here, and maybe do some swirls. And I might just dip some color back into this and let it travel down. And I'm just kind of dabbing it onto the line that I made. And I might drop some in over here too and let that darken up. And maybe right here, I do a circle shape. And here, I might try to roll my brush a bit and just make some organic shapes. I'm going to grab a little bit more water and start with some larger shapes here and just keep having some fun. Maybe do some strokes up from this and join up there. I want to connect some of these so they don't all look quite so sort of like their own little islands. I'm going to drop in some more color here too. Maybe dot this out a bit and add some texture. Now I like that sort of organic shape we've got up there. I'm going to do a little bit more down here. Dip my brush into some water and make a larger shape. This is really interesting. I've got a lot of small shapes here, so I think I'm going to do some combining and make some larger shapes that can kind of be the star of the show. So I'm going to connect some of these so they can sort of work together. This is going to be a very abstract painting. And maybe I can have some little tendrils kind of coming down here through that. And I'm going to connect this little piece. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this and kind of get going on some other interesting marks. And I'm going to add another bit of a glaze layer down here. This is a very interesting painting. I'm going to kind of copy this 3 lines and make that shape on this side too. So now we can get some repeating elements. I've got some repetition in the lines. I've got some repetition in the swirly shapes. I'm going to get a little bit of repetition in those dots. And I think I might throw those in right around here somewhere. Just like that. And it's almost like kind of a glaze because some parts of this are drying. So we've got just some time on the clock working. So we have some things we can still explore a bit. Now add some more water to this. So it's getting more faded now. And I'm going to add a little bit of an element over here. I think I'm going to do 2 dots here, and we have that sort of third dot in the form of a little swirl, and I kind of like that. I'm going to add some more texture right here. Just let that come out and make that shape. And the last thing I want to do is just add a little bit more interest there. I'm going to blot my brush pretty well, and then I'm going to dip into this white. And I think I'm going to start off doing some simple little dashes and maybe a little bit of interest here. Whoa, that was a mistake. And kind of make it almost like a bit cloudy. We can sort of introduce a calm area into the painting. I like that. I'm going to come back into some more white, and I've got a little bit of this reddish color kind of left over on my tray. So I'm going to kind of follow this along and bring it up right through kind of adding these little tendrils. And then maybe adding a little bit more down here. This is getting pretty busy, so that's why I'm kind of going over some of these spots, and we get a little bit of a pastel, sort of quiet area that is above everything. I'm going to come in here for even more white, and I'm getting it right out of the pan because I still have some of that mixture on my brush. And I like how it kind of mixes with that alizarin crimson and sap green mixture that we have further below. And it's kind of adding a bit of a layer. I'm going to scoop whatever else I can out of here because I got a little bit of color in my palette. And I'm going to apply that down in this direction and add a little bit to quiet it down here as well. And then I think we might be pretty close to letting this dry. I'm going to add a little bit more here. And now I'm kind of rinsing my brush frequently so I can kind of come in and get pure white without getting too much into my palette. I like that you can kind of see the other paint colors and marks coming through, but it definitely tones it down quite a bit. I'm going to add a little bit more in a coat here, and I'm just sort of gently dabbing it and letting it go through. All right, we are all dry, and I think what we really need on here is something to really warm it up, and I think gold will do just the trick for this. What I'm going to do is go around and put a nice juicy layer around where we've got this sort of cloudiness. I'm going to get this to be nice and activated and creamy and just slowly add it to gild this abstract shape. And I think that will give it a really nice look. I'm gonna come around here and just finish up doing the whole border. So now that I've got it completely outlined, I'm going to go through on a few of these borders and thicken the line of gold so that it's a little bit more prominent. And I'm dipping right into my palette and putting on a nice thick layer. So the reason I'm doing this is I've got a bit of the busyness still showing through quite a bit behind the white because the white is still very transparent. And so what I want to do is really bring out this gold quite a bit so that it's sort of the star of the show around this soft white layer. But I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to kind of thicken the border in some parts where we have kind of a lot going on still. So down here is another area that I'll add some extra gold, and it just is going to quiet it down a bit, and it's going to give us some extra sparkle, just like this. And I'm just adding some water as I need it. I'm going to add some more right here. And then also right here. And I'm not scrubbing with my brush because with this paper, the paint lifts very easily. So it can start to mix the paint together. And I really want this to more lay on top. So I'm just going slowly and dabbing my brush here and there. And I think I've got it pretty much where I want it. So the last thing I'm going to do with the gold is add a few little splashes outside that shape, and that's just going to help unify things a little bit, and we can kind of have some extra interest going outside of our big shape. So right now I pretty much have 3 colors on here, and I love how interesting this is. It's pretty busy, but it also has a clear focus and a quiet area, which I really love. And I think this is pretty good. I think the only other thing, I might add just a little Prussian blue. And I've got 2 here. I'm going to add just a little bit to this shape right here. I'm going to blot my brush, pick up any extra color. I'm going to deepen this just a little bit. Blot my brush and mop it up a bit. And I'm going to add a little bit of gold to this also. That blue is a little strong down here. I'm going to pick some up to tone it down a bit. Just a little hint of something else interesting going on here. And I think we can call this one good. I'm going to lift it so you can see the close-up and the lovely sparkle and that really nice sort of creamy look of that white mixed with the purple red. Now it's still wet, but you can see that beautiful sparkle from the gold watercolor. That's the Marie's Masters gold that I've got in the pan here. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video today. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep creating.